In today's video, I will be reviewing a classic single black trail at Duthie Hill in Washington. This is HLC Line. I've been wanting to do a review on this specific trail for a long time because it's so unique, but I haven't found the time to do so. The reason this trail is so unique is because every feature on it has wood involved, whether it's made for the lip, landing, or both. HLC Line is one of the most fun trails at this park, so I'm excited to review it for you today. By now, you guys probably know how this works. I will talk about each feature in depth and work my way from the top of the trail to the bottom. HLC is just under a minute-long ride while going at average speed. Most of the features on this trail are tabletops, which means you can roll them. However, there are some gaps. HLC Line has a 76-foot descent, mainly from the last jump of the trail, and a small 9-foot climb in the middle. Before the review, I will talk about how to get to the start of HLC Line. If you arrive at Duthie from the main or new parking lot, you take the same access road as you would to get to the clearing. You can take boot camp down to the clearing or the fire road, but it really doesn't matter. When you get to the clearing, head left where you see the last wooden feature on the Luna drops line, often called the noob tosser. From there, you'll find a small rock roll leading to the entrance of Braveheart and HLC Line. So now, we will get to the actual trail review. The first feature on HLC Line is a drop, which is about 3 feet in height. It is actually a lot taller off the ground, but the landing is raised up by a little bit. The drop has rough planks on it and is a little skinny, so you have to maintain balance. This is the entrance feature to HLC, so it is meant to give you a taste of what the rest of the trail is like. Also, you cannot go around this feature. The reason for this is that it is a popular trail at Duthie Hill, and avoiding the drop would result in a higher collision rate. It is also great for intermediate riders to do a drop that's bigger than they're comfortable with because it's generally not that hard. The landing is a bit steep and small, and it is also blind when going off it, so just be aware of that. Next, you go into a slightly banking berm that points left and right into your next feature, a crazy whale tail. In case you don't know what a whale tail is, it's a wooden feature where you jump onto a platform, then drop off. This is not exactly an on-off box because it's a curved bed in the middle instead of a flat bed. For this particular one, the gap onto the platform is about 1 foot, so it is very small. The bed is about 12 feet long and is made of smooth planks, which I think is really cool. After you're on the platform, then you go into the drop-off, which is about 3 feet. This is the same size as the drop at the beginning, but the whale tail feels completely different. The landing to this feature is dirt with a wooden case guard. The feature is so much fun to ride. For some reason, every time I ride this, I get a feeling of exhilaration from the drop. I love the whale tail on HLC, and it very well may be my favorite wooden feature in the park, besides the one on Space Coaster. After the whale tail drop, the fun continues, with 2 back-to-back amazing berms. I said in my review of Space Coaster that the berm at the beginning was my favorite berm at Duthie. That was a huge debate between these, but I did pick that. These berms are so close to my favorite though, and they definitely deserve it. Though they are covered in braking bumps, they're so wide and high speed as well. They're great for practicing cornering because of this, and they also seem to give you speed leading into the next jumps. Next come these jumps straight out of the berms, with barely any approach. This whole section from the whale tail to the end of these jumps is what I like to call the rhythm section, because it is high speed with flow. These 2 jumps are both tabletops at about 4 feet long, and they both have a wooden structure to them. I think these 2 jumps are also very fun because the lips are kicky, but in a good way. The jump's lips also increase in a perfect radius, which leads to really great whips. After the tabletop jumps, there's a short pedally section to the next jump. This is nothing special, but it's just a small uphill. The jump after the short climb is a small step down that's very hard to clear for me. The jump used to be way bigger, but they made it smaller after a tree fell on it during a windstorm. It also used to be a gap with a taller lip, but now it's rollable. The jump has a wooden landing, but luckily the planks are smooth. This is one of 2 jumps on the trail that I think should be modified or even destroyed so there can be a better feature in its place, such as a dirt step down or even a small drop. In the meantime, this step down is fun if you clear, but it's just okay if you're going too slow. After the landing of the step down, you go into a little bit of a valley, kind of like the first valley on Voodoo Child. This valley leads into a nice big step up. The lip is really tall, and that's why I consider it big. The jump's not that big, and there's not really a gap just because the lip is a bit steep too. The lip is made out of dirt, although the structure is made from wood. Same with the landing. Even if I cased the small step down before this jump, I still seem to need to brake into it. I don't know why, but I have heard that other people think you also need to brake. Maybe it's just the way that the lip is designed, because it is steep. It does kick you pretty high up, although it throws you forward a bit too. I think this jump overall is really fun, and I don't think they need to change much with it. If they were going to do something though, they should flatten out the landing a bit, because it is a little steep in one section. After the step up, you go into a little flat section, and then into the second to last jump. In all honesty, this jump sucks, and here's why. The first problem in this jump comes with the jump before it. The jump before it's a step up, as I just said. This means that your speed will be lower coming off of it, and it also doesn't help that the pedally section's uphill. You can't even clear this jump when you're pedaling. It's ridiculous. The next problem comes with the lip, and that's that there's a big divot right at the start. This isn't a braking bump, but this is just a lot of eroded dirt off the lip. This lip is wood, so it might not make sense that there's eroded dirt, but still, it happened. The lip's planks also increase in a really awkward radius, and it's not ideal for jumping at all. The landing's also really hard just because it's flat and there's no slope to it at all. The last problem I find in this jump is that when it's wet, you can't ride it because the landing's going to be so slippery, because it is wood. In summary, this jump is low speed, awkward, and not fun to ride. Alright, so moving away from a huge negative, we'll move on to a positive, the last jump. Most people who haven't ridden HLC Line know this trail because of this specific jump, and here's why. First of all, you have a massive approach. It's a really steep downhill section where you gain a lot of speed. Some of the speed is unnecessary, but you can boot this really far. Now this jump and its approach remind me exactly of the moon booter on A-Line at Whistler's Bike Park. That may be one of the most famous jumps, so I hope all of you know it. It's the exact same thing in means of approach and the lip. The lip of this jump compared to that jump feels the exact same. It's nice and mellow with a really tall aspect to it. Anyways, I'll get back to the approach. This approach has a lot of braking bumps on it, although they don't really bother me. It could be looked at as a type of tech, so that's something interesting. The approach has two sides, a left and a right. On the left, there's not nearly as many braking bumps as the right, and it's relatively smooth. On the right, there are braking bumps, but there's a really fun route that you can drop off of. Since you have so much speed coming off of this, it's really fun to jump off the route, and that's the side that I usually take. After the speed that you gain on the approach, you go into a really mellow valley and into the jump slip, which is also mellow. This is a small gap, but the majority of it is tabletop, kind of like Flying Squirrel. This is a really cool jump, and it's quite sessionable too. It's also progressive, which is nice. Another really cool thing is that right after you're done riding this trail, you can just take a short walk up to get to the top in less than 5 minutes. So that's it for HLC Line, and it's a really fun trail. My final score for HLC Line is going to be a 9 out of 10. Now this trail is a really fun trail to ride, and I just love it so much. I hit this every time I go to Duthie, and it's really fun to just do all the jumps and wooden features too. This trail is extremely fun, and I request that you guys hit it if you ever go out to Duthie and you have the skills. The reason though that I'm not giving it that 10 is mainly because of the second to last jump. If that jump was non-existent or changed to make it fun to ride, then this trail would get a 9.5, possibly even a 10. That's all I have for you guys today, and I'll see you next week.